In this video, I'd like to share with you how I create a good workflow for electronic grading. And the app that I use is iAnnotate, but you could set this up with a few changes for other applications as well. Now, the first thing I like to do is I like to give students detailed instructions for how this process is going to work. And I've given you an example here, feel free to copy it, but there are three elements that I think are kind of crucial. The first is to make electronic grading optional if you can, because students like to have choice. And you don't necessarily want to force people who don't like technology to go through this process, although it is actually fairly easy. The second thing is that students should provide a proper file name so that you can clearly identify the file. And the last is that it would be great if they can upload it as a PDF. If it's a Word document, you can easily change it into a PDF within iAnnotate, but I think it's easiest, obviously, if the student starts off the right way. So those are the instructions, first of all, for electronic grading. The next step is to go to Dropbox. You need to have a Dropbox account, which is free. And you need to actually create a file request every time that you want students to submit something. So we're going to go to File Requests here. We're going to request a file, and let's just call this English 101 Essay 2, let's say. Click on Next. And this provides us with a link. Now, I tend to just copy the link for now. I don't email it right away. And we'll click on Done. Then I will go to whatever platform I'm using, whether it's Moodle or Blackboard or whatever, and I will email my students the link from there with a message as well. They will get the link, and when they're ready to upload their assignment, they just click on the link. It will take them to a page that looks like this. And they can see that I'm requesting this file, and they get to choose it from their computer, or if they do have a Dropbox account, which they don't have to have, they can take it from there. Now let's just do this as a drag and drop thing. So I already have a file ready here. Okay, so I'm going to take my file here, as you can see, and I'm just going to drag it over there, and there it is. Press upload. Make sure students don't forget that step. And there we go, it's done. So if we go back to our Dropbox account and we click on this, there is our first submission 10 seconds ago. You can see that for the student, this is very easy. It's just a couple of clicks, and uploading usually doesn't cause any trouble for students. The next few steps we'll have to do on our iPad. So what you can see here is that we have Dropbox available now. And if we click on it, then we're going to go to File Requests, and we're going to open our document. And I'm not going to go through all the different things that are available in iAnnotate. I'll cover that in a different video. But I will mention a couple of things here that you may want to set up ahead of time. One of these is stamps. So you can click on stamps and you can create custom preset stamps. So if we want to use a stamp, we just click anywhere, and you can see I've got a bunch of stamps set up. There are preset ones as well, but you may find these colorful but maybe less useful. Okay, so those are stamps. Another thing that we want to set up is our email settings. So let's just go out of here for now. To set up our email settings, we actually need to just go back to the main panel, and we're going to click here on the top right button, which allows us to look at our settings. We're going to click on App Settings, and that is actually going to take us to our regular settings, and so you can access this here as well. If you just go to your regular settings and you click on iAnnotate, you can see it here. It's going to take you to the same place. Now, in this case, what we want to do is click on Sharing, and this is where we can create a default email subject and email message. And I think this is really useful because that way when you send your marked assignment back, you don't have to keep typing out the same thing. Now, I'm going to actually go back to iAnnotate here and show you what that looks like once we have our essay marked. And I've added this little message icon here, and the message icon allows you to send an email directly to the student from in iAnnotate. So all you would have to do is just add their email address, and you can see that I've written everything out ahead of time so that every time I send a message back, it's going to be the same for every student. So the message isn't personalized, but that would have that would take a long time to do. Okay, so use this message tool because the regular message function in iAnnotate recently has been causing some trouble, and so just make sure you add that tool. Now to do that, I'm just going to delete the draft here. To add that tool, go to the toolbox and you can drag and drop different things to your toolbar. So under document, you're going to see email. That's one of the options. Now I've already added it, but if I wanted to add a tool, let's say I take the second one and I want to add it, I can just drag and drop it all the way to my toolbar. Okay, so I would recommend that you do that you set up a custom message for emailing back documents, and that can be tremendously helpful for making the process really quick and easy. Okay, the next thing we need to do is we need to set up a mic, because I like to do or provide audio commentary when I do electronic grading, and so it's good to have a mic available. I've used Mic Pro here, which is free. I think it maybe needs an upgrade soon, and you can use other ones as well. I'm going to go to settings to make sure that it's integrated with iAnnotate so that the integration is proper. And what we need to do here now is we need to go to privacy. So if we go all the way up, okay, or close to the top, we're going to click on privacy. And then we need to go to our microphone. So let's see if we can find this here. Oh, there it is, microphone. And we need to make sure that we enable both Mic Pro in this case, and we need to enable iAnnotate. This way, iAnnotate can use the mic. And if we go back to iAnnotate, we can see that they're synced. Okay, so if we go down in our settings and we find iAnnotate, there it is. Now you can see that we do have a mic available. After this, we need to make sure that our email settings are properly set up. We're going to go back up in our settings to accounts and passwords, click on Gmail, and we need to make sure that our default account is the right one, because it's going to send from this account. This is the default account. If you ever have any trouble with sending documents, it's almost always the case that perhaps you have changed your password in the meantime, or your iPad settings haven't been updated properly. Those are usually the easiest fixes to do, and those are the ones I would generally try first. So that's it for setting up the iPad portion of your workflow, and we'll turn back to the PC here now just to touch on a couple of final things. One of the things I would recommend is that you make sure that you have all your student emails imported into your contacts list. So if you use Gmail, for instance, you can go to Google Contacts, you can click on More, okay, so More, Import, and then if you have a CSV file, which a lot of institutions provide, then you can use that special type of Excel file, upload it directly, and you've got all your student emails in your contacts list. And then when you send that assignment back to the student, you don't have to type out every single email address individually, but you can just type a few letters and the right email address will pop up. So that's something that I would recommend. The final thing I would also add is that it's important to give some proper instructions in terms of how students need to open the assignment. Now, you can just double click on the assignment, obviously, and open it in a browser or in any PDF reader. But the one issue is that if you have an audio recording, the audio icon will not show up unless you open the document in Adobe. So I have Adobe Acrobat Reader here. Students can download this for free, and they just need to know that they have to download it, click on File, Open, and make sure they open it directly from here to make sure that they do it correctly. And then the audio will show up. I've made a little video about this for my students, and you can do something similar. I'll provide a link to this as well, but just make sure that your students know that for the audio to show up, they have to make sure they open it in Adobe. Hopefully these tips will give you some ideas for how to set up your workflow really well It prevents a lot of headaches down the road, and it just creates the kind of workflow that students feel comfortable with. And eventually, I think they often come to prefer electronic grading, which is good for everybody, I think, because electronic grading, not only can it be faster, but it can actually allow you to create better feedback.